Hey guys, welcome to part 7 of my Django series. Today we're going to learn about URLs in Django. So, what exactly is a URL? If you've been using computers and browsers, you already have an idea what a URL is. It is basically a web address, something you type into your browser and it will take you to the website you want to visit. So today we're going to see how Django handles URLs and URL routing. Uh, so far we have created the admin, we are using the admin dashboard from Django. So I want you to run the project and see the URLs we have so far in our project. I'm going to do the same. So I have the project opened on the VS Code and I'm going to use the terminal which is offered by VS Code. So you can do the same, just click here and go to the terminal. As you can see, when you go to the terminal in the VS Code, it will automatically activate the virtual environment for this project, so you don't have to type that source activate or the activation line you have to do on Windows. You're already there. So this works on Windows and on Linux or Mac, whatever you're using. So we are in the virtual environment, and I'm just going to run the project to see what we have so far. So I'm going to do python manage.py run server. Okay. So as you can see, this is exactly a URL. This is the main URL for our project. Since we are working locally, this is the URL for the local host. I'm just going to click this and go to the browser and see what we have so far. So the Django has already routed this URL to this welcoming page, but we want to change this today. But so exactly this is the URL, and we also have another one for the admin panel. So if you add the /admin, it will take you to the Django admin. You might be logged out, so maybe for you it looks like this. Okay, so you have to log in with the user you created last time. So this is another URL we have already routed in Django. Okay, so now let's see how Django does this behind the scenes. I'm going to lower this here. So all the URLs will be routed from the main app, which is our My Site app here. In the My Site, we have a urls.py. And right here, you can see that we already have some ready generated code from Django from when we started the project. And we have these import statements to use the path function and the admin app, which is ready for us to use. And we have this list of URL patterns. So right here, we type every pattern of URL we want to have in our project. So when the user types, for example, in the first pattern routes us to the admin dashboard, the one we just saw here. But as you can see, it doesn't type the local host. It doesn't need to type the local host or 127 the URL you see, because it already recognizes that as the root URL, which is configured in the settings. So whenever you want to add another URL, another path, you don't need to write that. You just need to write the part which goes after the root URL. So we just type in admin, and we want for people to go to this admin.site.urls after we type admin. Okay, so we also created this blog site and for blog app, sorry. So for all the apps inside the Django project, we want to have separate URLs inside the blog folder and then route them and then create the routing over there. But in this My Site, which will be the main app, we want to include all those URL files. Okay, so what we want to do in this case, we want to create this home page right here, which we have the welcoming screen from Django. We want to actually route this to a list of posts. So when people go to the home page, they just see a list of the blog posts. Now, this route should be in the urls.py for the blog app. So in the blog app, make sure to close this so you're not confused. So in here, click in here. I'm going to create a new script, urls.py. Okay. So we can copy this code because it will be much easier. This code from the URL, don't confuse them. This is urls.py from my site, and we're going to copy the code here into the urls.py for blog. Okay, so now I am at the urls.py for blog. So I'm going to remove this. And I want to create a path for the home page. I'm going to use again the path function, or let's leave it and see how we can modify this. Okay, so here I'm going to remove this admin and I'm going to leave this an empty string. What this means is that we don't want to add anything after the local host here. So if you want to use this URL, then I'm just going to leave this empty because we already have the root URL, as I mentioned before. And now here I want to route users. So when they go to this URL, I want to route them to a view. We're going to create the view in the next video, but for today, just remember view is part of the model view controller model. So people go to URL and then they are redirected to a view. And then in that view, you can write the code to give instructions to Django what to display on this URL. But at the moment, we're only concerned with the URL. So here, I need to use the views, which are in this script over here. But to use the views, I need to import them, okay? So right here, I'm going to have to import from .import views, okay? So to route this URL to this view, I'm just going to write views.postList. Well, this post list should be a view, which we will create in the next video, and we will put it here in the views.py of the blog. Okay, at the moment this doesn't exist, so I'm just going to create it in the next video, but I'm going to mention it here for the URL to work. Okay, so this is something we have to do in the future video. I'm going to call this view the post list since we want to show a list of all the posts on this URL. Oh, sorry. Okay, and now so these are the arguments that the path function takes. It takes the URL we want to go to, the view we want to route to, and we can create a name, which I'm going to call post list. So this is the name you can use as a reference later on. Okay, so this is just a convention, something it will make your development much easier later. So basically this is one path. So when the users go to the home page, they are redirected to this view, which will be a list of posts, which we'll create later. And we're going to name this post list. It's easy enough. So this is the URLs file only for the blog app. But for this to work, we need to include this URL file in the main app, which is the my site. So now let's go to the urls.py my site. And now we want to include also the URLs we created for the blog app. And to do that, we need to use a helper function, which is the include function, and we're going to import that function in here. That include function is in the django.url. So after this import path, I'm going to add a comma, and I'm going to say also import include. This is another function we need. And the path, so we need to add another path here, and this second path will symbolize all the URLs we get from the blog site. Okay, so I'm going to leave this empty, and in here I'm going to say include in parentheses blog.urls. Okay, so what this does is this include goes to the blog file folder and it gets the URLs file. Okay, so we are saying here this is the main routing for Django URLs. I want to say here that when people go to the home page, go check for this URL in the blog.url. So it redirects to this one. And here, when you go to the home page, it says go to the list of posts. Okay, so let's see what this has done to our current app. So if you see, the project is still running and it gives us an error because blog.views has no attribute post list. Okay, so it is already doing what we want. It is going to the views file to find the post list view. But since we haven't already defined that, it's not working. So don't worry about that. Let's refresh here. Okay, so it can't be reached at the moment because we have an error. But we will fix that in the next video. Okay, after you finish with this URL routing, just make sure to, let me kill this terminal. Okay, so make sure to add all the changes into Git and then push it into GitHub. Okay, so from the terminal again. Okay, I'm going to do a git status. And as you can see, I have modified these files. I want all of them to be added into this commit. So I'm going to do git add -- all. Okay, if you do git status now, you see they are with green, so they are ready to commit. Git commit -m added URLs for blog posts. For blog posts list. Okay, so I did this commit and I'm going to do now git push -u origin master, and this will push all the changes into my GitHub. Put the username and the password. Okay, so this is all for this video. I just wanted to introduce the concept of URLs and URL routing in Django. And don't worry if the project doesn't work right now. We're going to continue in the next one to add the views for that post list. Okay, make sure to check out also the Django Girls tutorial link I'm going to put in the description, where everything we did in this video is explained over there as well. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share the video, and check out also my Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.